Okay everyone, so welcome again to another one of our lessons, and in this lesson I just want to share to you some of the learning tips that I usually give to some of my students. So the first thing that I want to share here is the levels of enthusiasm, and this just means your interest in learning. So the first level here is you becoming a researcher, and we practicing the concept of RRA, which is something that I learned from the community of developers. And this is going to be a very big part, or this will be playing a big part in you becoming a future programmer, coder, developer, web developer, because again, guys, you will not be able to memorize everything. Even senior developers normally maximizes the use of Google, DuckDuckGo, or their favorite search engine for them to figure out things in problems that they are encountering. So your ability to find solutions to your problems through research is going to be an important skill as a future developer. So this is the tip that I learned from the community. You doing your research first, then read a lot of documentations. And again, guys, this is going to be a big part of you becoming a developer, you reading a lot of documentations. And if you're encountering some YouTube tutorials telling you that in 5 minutes you will be able to learn HTML, that is really not true, because there are a lot of things that you need to learn, a lot of things that you need to be keep updated about. So if you're really going to be a serious developer, or you're really serious about learning how to become a developer, you becoming a researcher, you reading a lot of materials, documentation is going to be a big part of you improving your skill sets. So researching is an important skill that you need to develop. So lastly here, guys, if you have any questions, please do ask the community. Based from my experience, the community is very supportive. That's why I'm highly encouraging you guys. If, for example, you're stuck, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to groups and forums, because again, that's where you can find answers, and there will be a lot of good community members out there that will be willing enough to help you out. And also, guys, it's really important that you build your network at the same time, because this might also be the community forums from where you might find your future employers. That's why I'm highly recommending that you go and try to join forums, community of coders, developers, and even in our FB group, guys. I have created an FB group from where you can go and join so that you can collaborate with your fellow students. So the next thing that I want to share to you here, guys, is you becoming a practitioner and an active learner. And again, the thing here that you need to keep in mind is that you need to really do the exercises, type the code, try to start from scratch. And I will not be using templates, ready-made templates that you will just be editing. We will start from the very start, and again, this will be a bit boring in the beginning, guys. I know that it will be a bit boring. Please do bear with me. But the idea here, guys, I want to really get your hands dirty so that you will be able to understand the things that we will be doing here. And the best way for you to learn will be for you to learn by doing. You have the power to pause the video, rewatch the video, pause again, then rewatch it again, because guys, you are the one who will be improving your skills here. And something that I always tell my students is an old Chinese proverb that says teachers are there to open the doors to opportunities, but it's the student who will be entering them. No matter how good your teacher is in any subject, but if you do not get your hands dirty, you do not practice the skill, you will not be improving in that certain field. And that's why I'm highly reminding my students, if you really want to get serious into developing your skills as a developer, you really need to type the code, follow the video tutorials that we will be doing here. And again, you have the power to pause the video. If you did not understand it, try to rewatch it again, then rewatch it again, then rewatch it again. That's one way for you to gain retention. And of course, don't forget to ask questions if you're really stuck and you really cannot find a solution to a certain problem. I just want to share one favorite quote that I got from also one of my teachers. in Bash scripting actually. He said that you don't have to be great to start, but you need to start for you to become great. So I'm hoping that this is something that is very clear, guys, that you go and get your hands dirty in coding. And as according to Zig Ziglar, guys, 25 ways to mastery. The best way for you to become a master in any skill is practice, 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 practice. And definitely you will get better in any field or in any skill that you want to acquire. Now, the last level of enthusiasm that I just want to explain here is you becoming a propagator, and that's you practicing this concept of teach to learn, learn to teach. This is something that I usually share to my students. Teach to learn to teach, which is a common quote that I tell my students. Because, guys, once you are starting to teach it, you get to retain the information and you also get to understand the information much better because you are now explaining it in your own words. And one technique that I usually use and share to my students will be going back here to this first level, the word read. If, for example, in any subject that you are having a difficulty with and you're reading a certain text or documentation, my advice will be if you did not understand it the first time that you read it, try to reread it again, and then try to reread it again, and then try to reread it again, and then try to explain it using your own words by means of paraphrasing. That's just one of the techniques that I used in my own learning discipline, especially if I'm having a difficulty in learning a certain topic. I'm highly encouraging that you go and find a learning partner to whom you can teach and learn from. That means you can teach him or her, and she or he can also teach you. Okay? And that's the three levels of enthusiasm that I just want to discuss here, guys. You developing researching skills, you becoming an active learner, and you teaching what you are learning so at least you can also learn. And I really advocate to my students that teachers are also learners. We also learn from students. That's why I'm highly encouraging you guys to collaborate and be interactive. Try to post in our discussion groups. And one of my goal here actually, guys, in this course will be to also try to make it a lot easier for you to find the resources that you can go and use for your learning journey. So at least you can go and save some time in doing some other research. I will not be able to cover everything in this course, guys. However, at least you'll have some information that can get you started. And I'm hoping to help save you some time in doing some research, basic research about the things that you should be aware of as a beginner and entry level in the web development industry. I also just want to share to my students the things that I believe made it really difficult for me when I was still starting out. That's why I included some lessons here that are not related to HTML. However, there will be some lessons that we will be tackling that I believe were things that were really necessary as an entry level in the web development industry. And this can be topics that are related to the workflow and other things that might be helpful for you as a entry level student. I'm also recommending, guys, that if you get to the part from where we are already building our projects, please do share your projects and try to show it to your classmates so at least you can go and collaborate with one another. I'm really advocating here originality. It's something that I advocate to my students when it comes to building their projects. You don't really need to copy the things that I will just be doing here and I will be building here. I'm advocating that you go and try to innovate, try to apply your creative side because again, guys, this is not a CSS course. This is more on an HTML fundamental course. And we will be developing projects in this course because that's one of the best way you can improve your skills. But that project doesn't have to be the same as the project that I'm building. I'm highly encouraging you to go and build the project, build your own project, and use the course as a guide in building your own project. And at the same time, share your knowledge and share your work to your classmates so at least once you encounter some problems, you can collaborate and solve those problems together. So I'm hoping that those are clear, guys. Now let's move on to our next slide here. And this is something that I learned from William Glaser, We learn 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear, 70% of what we discuss, 80% of what we experience, 95% of what we teach to others. And that's why I am encouraging here active learning and teaching and you propagating for you to be able to improve your learning experience. So the next thing that I want to discuss here will be you treating learning a new programming language as you learning a new language. HTML is not a programming language. However, I just want to make it clear on how you can go and communicate with a computer. That's why I'm discussing here what a programming language is all about. Just take note, HTML is a markup language and it's normally used to annotate and distinguish the content from the instructions that we give to the computer. Because guys, when you're learning a programming language, you're actually learning the language of the computer. The difference between the English language when you're using it to communicate with a person is that the person has the ability to comprehend with intellect. Meaning, even though I'm making a mistake, right now I'm talking in English and I'm sure I'm not using perfect grammar here, guys. I'm not a grammar expert. I'm a Filipino and I live in the Philippines. And technically, guys, I'm really not a grammar expert. However, I'm sure because you know how to use the English language, you are trying to comprehend what I'm trying to explain here right now. But when we are communicating with the computer, you have to be very specific because, as we all know, it understands ones and zeros, the binary language, and you have to be very specific in giving instructions to the computer or else it will not be able to understand the instructions that you gave it. Your instructions to the computer, the way you communicate with the computer, you have to be very clear, you have to be concise, and you need to become a perfectionist. Because with a single mistake, guys, you will run into a bug or an error in your program. Even if you're just missing a single semicolon in your expression, in your declaration, guys, that will be causing a bug when you are giving instructions to the computer. So I hope that this is clear, guys. You are treating programming as if you're learning a new language. Now, let's move to the next slide here. And let's have a little bit of comparison. So we have hypertext markup language, which is HTML. We have CSS, and we have JavaScript. Now, key things to remember here, if we compare it to the English language, HTML is like the noun, CSS is like the adjective, and JavaScript will be similar to the verb. So HTML is giving semantic meaning. CSS is more on the aesthetics or how your site will look. And JavaScript will be more on the dynamic behavior. So in JavaScript, you are implementing logic. HTML, you're just distinguishing the instructions from the content of your site. That means if we have a paragraph inside of our web document, we want to give instructions to the browser for the browser to understand that this is a paragraph. That's why we maximize the use of HTML tags and we are giving it semantic meaning. And here we have CSS or cascading style sheets that is used for giving aesthetics or giving a beautiful layout to our website. So it will not just be plain text. We can apply colors, we can design our website the way we want it to look like. And in JavaScript, guys, we are controlling how the elements in our website will be moving or how we can move things around. Elements, images, links, and so on. So if we go and compare this with the human body, HTML is the skeletal system, CSS is more on the skin, on how we look, and JavaScript will be more on the brain. It has the ability to understand logic and conditions. Now moving to the next slide here, everyone. Here's a personal acronym that I made that I used for reminding my students about how they can improve their learning process. And that's the KURA acronym here: know, understand, remember, and apply. So if we go and try to look at the concept here, in the English language, you have to know that a word exists. Then you need to understand its meaning. Then you have to remember that that word exists and how you can use it in a sentence, and then try to apply it in a real conversation. Similar in programming, everyone. you have to know that a syntax exists. You have to understand how that syntax, or let's say a keyword, is used in the programming language that you're learning. And then try to remember, of course, how it works. Then apply it in the programs that you're writing, the scripts that you're writing. So if actually you're learning web penetration testing, something that I really learned, which is something that I also want to share to you guys, is the tip that was shared by one of my teachers, Sir Zaid. And he said that if you're going to run a script, a program that has been written by another programmer, you have to make sure that you understand how the script works. So that's just something that I want to share to you guys, because you might also be interested in web penetration testing that will be more related on security, guys. So I'm hoping that this is clear, everyone. Kura. Now, the next concept that I just want to share to you here is the hard way is the easy way. That's why we will be doing our exercises from scratch. I will not be sending you templates from where you will just be editing the ready-made elements or structure of the website that we will be building here. We will be building most of our exercises here from scratch, okay? And again, some of this might be boring at the beginning, guys. I know. That's why please do bear with me. We will be tackling as many elements as possible in this course. One of my goal will be, again, go back here for you to know that a certain element exists that you can use in your future projects. Of course, understand it, then remember it, and then apply it. That's why we will have some repetition exercises in this course. So that will be all for this lesson, everyone. I'm hoping that these tips will be useful for you as you progress in your career path as a web developer. So that will be all for this lesson. And just a reminder, guys, please do join the FB group. I have left a link in our course here to our FB group so that we can go and try to group you, or we can go and try to collaborate with regards to the project that I will be building and your project that you will be building. So at least we can see each other's project and we can go and give comments with regards to your project and even the project that I will be building here, guys. And again, guys, just to set your expectations, this will not be too aesthetically great, guys, because again, our goal here in this course will be more on semantic meaning of HTML elements, you understanding, knowing, and then remembering them and then applying them in a project. So that would be all, everyone. Thank you and see you on our next lessons.